All right, everybody, we got Nuggets versus Heat game 3, and I have two bets that you guys are not going to want to miss. Now, for these NBA bets over the past 2 weeks, I've just been on an insane hot streak. Last game for game 2, I gave out 3 picks. One play that was for 1.5 units, that cashed. One play that was for 1 unit, that cashed. And then I had a small half unit same game parlay that did not cash. But if we're just going off of our straight picks, we are 11-1 in our last 12. Just an absolutely insane run. Hopefully, we can continue that streak for game 3. As I mentioned, I got 2 picks for you guys real quick before we get into it. Number one, while you're here, would appreciate it if you are not already, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then, of course, like the video and comment. Let me know your thoughts. Number two, I have recently launched a membership option for my YouTube channel. So if you would like to become a Jedi in training, I have 2 different options, 2 different types of perks for you guys if you're interested. One is $1 a month, one is $5 a month. And if you're interested, the very first link in the description of the video, as well as the pinned comment, is the details regarding the membership. So again, if you want to become a Jedi in training, feel free to look into that. Let's get into these picks. So play number one, just going to be a 1 unit play. Normally for these, I have 1.5 units for today. Not as confident, just going to go with 1 unit, but we are going with the Nuggets -2. This is at -115 odds at Flip Sportsbook. To me, I really like this Nuggets number at -2. It feels almost like it's a gift, which admittedly, even saying that makes me nervous. But I understand that the Nuggets are historically significantly better at home, and they just lost game 2 at home. So the series being tied 1-1 heading to Miami, you would think Miami should be favored here. But I personally still give the edge to the Nuggets. Now, looking at game 2, all this talk about the Heat turned Jokic into a scorer, and that's how they won, I think is BS. We'll get into that later. The real reason why the Heat won game 2, it's because they scored 36 points in the fourth quarter. Duh, that's not, their most profound point you've ever heard, but that's why the Nuggets lost game 2 is because they let up 36 points in the fourth to the Heat. In that fourth quarter, the Heat shot 68% from the field and 55% from deep. Literally every single player on the Heat that played minutes in the fourth quarter shot over 50% from the field, except for Kyle Lowry, who was 0 of 1. So he only took 1 shot and he missed it. Everybody else was at least 50% from the field or better. Now, I understand that the Heat just do this. They go on these ridiculous shooting runs in specific quarters to win games. So it's like you're watching a game. The Heat don't play better the entire game. They play better in 1 quarter, and sometimes that's enough. They did that in multiple fourth quarters against the Bucks. They did that in the third quarter in game 1 against the Celtics. So I understand that the Heat should be doing this. And maybe I should be giving them more credit and not doubting them as much as I am. But to me, this just seems like a game where the Nuggets come back and take game 3. I'm not really that scared of the Heat at home either. They had 3 home games in the conference finals against the Celtics. They lost 2 of those 3. Now, yes, the Celtics are a better road team than the Nuggets, so I understand that. But it's not as though the Heat are like the Nuggets prior to game 2 at home where they just don't lose. Now, I do want to address the narrative that I'm sick of where the Heat won because they turned Jokic into a scorer. I posted this on Twitter, and I did get a couple rebuttals that were fair points, which I'll get into. But the Nuggets, their offensive rating in game 1, according to NBA.com, their advanced stats giving them their offensive rating was 124.1. That would have led the NBA by a mile. Now, obviously, a 1-game sample size is tough to really glean advanced stats from, because if you isolate the minutes where Jokic was on the floor, sure, that number was lower, right? The Nuggets had a huge scoring run with the Jokic on the bench in the second quarter, which contributed to a lot of their offensive rating. But still, it's not as though the Nuggets had a bad offensive game. Jokic went off for 40. Some players like Michael Porter Jr. just didn't look right. But to me, it feels like the Nuggets are being a little bit undersold in this one. They were like 8.5, 9-point favorites in game 2. Yes, I know they were at home, all the way down to 2-point favorites in game 3. So if you want to tell me that going from Denver to Miami and also Miami taking game 2 contributes to 6 to 7 points in favor of the Heat, I can understand that argument. I personally think that that's too low and that the Nuggets have a great opportunity to take game 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 10 plus either, but we're just taking Nuggets -2. Next pick, Our one player prop for the game, we are going with Jokic over 28.5 points, -110 odds at BetMGM. Yes, am I taking Jokic's point total to go over for the third straight game? Yes, I am. Do not laugh at me. Yes, I know I just talked about how dumb I think the narrative is that the Heat turned Jokic into a scorer, but I do think that part of the Heat probably believe that and are going to play similar defense on Jokic than they did in game 2. A lot less help, a lot of Bam trying to just guard him one-on-one. A lot of that meant Jokic was going to score a ton. Now, we saw a shift in Jokic at the beginning of game 2 as well compared to game 1. He took one shot in the first quarter of game 1. He came out and was immediately aggressive in game 2. And with the Nuggets losing game 2, despite the fact that Jokic went off, he's probably going to come out with the same level as aggression in game 3. With Jokic in scoring, there's always the concern because Jokic sometimes just doesn't look for his shot. That really seems to happen in games where the Nuggets are winning by a ton and he doesn't really need to. Even in that game 1, the Nuggets were pretty much comfortably winning that entire game. He still ended with 27 points because as the game got close in the fourth quarter, he took seven shots and scored 12 points. I will say the value here at BetMGM on his total at -110 is pretty good as well. Majority of books have this in the -130s at the time that I am recording this, or they have his over-under priced at 29.5, so a full point higher than what we got it at. So I know it just sounds like I'm just going to the same plays over and over again, but I really do think the value is there on Jokic's point total going over. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it in. And I will say, last point, I did also think about taking Jokic's assists going over 10.5 as well. You can get a really good price on that, at least at the time I'm recording this, at +136 on FanDuel. Jokic had only 4 assists in game 2. I think that'll probably swing the other way in game 3. That's not going to be an official pick or anything like that. I do like it though, so if you want to have a little bonus one, take Jokic over 10.5 assists. But the 2 official plays that we will be tracking, 1 unit on the Nuggets -2, -115 at Fliff, and 1 unit on Jokic over 28.5 points, -110 odds at BetMGM. That's all I got. So remember, if you're tailing, comment and let me know. If you have a play that you like in game 3, comment and let me know as well. Other than that, remember to like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, look into becoming a Jedi in training if you're interested. Thanks for watching and have a good one.